In the past 90 days, 3 people saw their lives change dramatically after investing in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin and things like it is the equivalent of the red pill, okay? We are entering a completely world of uncharted water right now.
Have you made any investments in Bitcoin?
So, I mean, I personally own Bitcoin in my hedge fund. I own Bitcoin in my fund. I own Bitcoin in my private account. It is a huge deal. It's a huge, huge, huge deal. Because what you're talking about right now is for the next 3 to 5 years, an unbelievably better store value. It is gold 2.0.
I think this is a currency that's really going to work eventually.
Well, I think it is working, and there will be other currencies like it. But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin, and people have made fortunes out of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, there is no Bitcoin company, there is no Bitcoin building, there's not even a Bitcoin server anywhere that you could shut down. It is completely distributed. That's what's unique about Bitcoin. It is, for the first time, a way for the two of us to exchange value online without a third-party intermediary.
You know, just like everybody else, I had heard that people were making money from Bitcoin. But you know, Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin just seemed like a long and complicated process. However, I was thrilled to see that I could actually make money off of trading Bitcoin. And just as promised, I made an incredible amount of money in just 24 hours.
Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place. And of course, for large transactions, currency can get pretty inconvenient.
You'll see Bitcoin trading at 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Rick Falkvinia does an excellent analysis. He predicts that Bitcoin will capture between 1 and 10% of the global Forex market, which implies a price of between $100,000 to $1 million per Bitcoin. Most of the people who are on the sidelines not buying Bitcoin today will start to buy Bitcoin when it gets over 1,000, and then a greater percentage of people will definitely plow into Bitcoin when it starts to get over 10,000.
It's still predicting Bitcoin $10,000 per Bitcoin in 3 years.
Casares, he is the CEO of Xapo, which is a Bitcoin wallet and Bitcoin vault.
I think it's mostly a very positive thing. I think we're going to see ups and downs like with any other emerging technology, but I think Bitcoin is here to stay, and it makes sense that it be taxed and treated like any other.
So let's make a bold call here. In 10 years, what do you think Bitcoin will be worth? One Bitcoin.
Between $500,000 and $1 million.
It was so quick. That was with only a starting investment. It was like $250. So now I'm proud to say I am on my way to becoming a millionaire.
If you're new to Bitcoin, take your time to go out there and Google it and learn about it. It truly is one of the most important inventions in the history of humankind, and certainly the most important invention since the internet.
Made over $400,000. I paid my son's college education off, I paid off my mortgage, and I was able to quit the job I've hated for years and years and just ride the Bitcoin surge.
I had a bunch of other stocks, gold, GICs, you name it, I had it. But take my word for it, there is no other investment opportunity available today that can provide you with a staggering returns like Bitcoin can. Maybe $784,832.77 in just a little over 2 months. Well, that's more than my entire investment portfolio earned me in the past 2 decades. I'll be a millionaire for the first time in my life in the next 30 days.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered how wealthy you would be if you were an early investor of Uber, Facebook, Apple, Airbnb, or Google? Uber makes early investors rich. CNBC.com. Investing, the charmed life of Apple's early shareholders. Status update, I'm rich. Facebook flotation to create 1,000 millionaires among companies rank and file. You can finally stop wondering and quit beating yourself up for being late to the feast. Because Bitcoin is the new $1 million opportunity on the horizon. One that has been surrounded by extreme controversy. The same kind of controversy that once surrounded the likes of Uber, Google, Amazon, and Airbnb. Yet the lucky few who ignored the controversy laughed their way all the way to the bank. Now it's your turn to turn back the clock and become a millionaire investor in Bitcoin. Thousands of people around the world have quietly made millions after investing in Bitcoin. And now there's a new wave of future millionaires who choose to invest in Bitcoin right now. So listen up, because in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to reveal how you can make $550 just 1 hour from now and every hour after that. Do the math. That's $13,200 in your bank account just 24 hours from now.
Referred to by some as digital gold, Bitcoin is one of the most controversial investment opportunities that exists today. Over the last 5 years, the value of Bitcoin has skyrocketed, nearly 25,000%, meaning if you had the foresight to buy and hold early, you could have earned as much as 250 times your initial investment. That's enough to take $10,000 and turn you into a multi-millionaire. But many investors have still been keeping far away from Bitcoin, despite its historic rise. To the average person, it's just all too unfamiliar, too intimidating, and too risky. Yet after years of naysayers predicting that the sky will come crashing down, Bitcoin just keeps on chugging along. Hard to believe, but the cryptocurrency has been around for almost a decade now, and at this point, it doesn't seem to be going away. In fact, Bitcoin's bid as a serious investment has only matured in recent years, as the digital currency has come of age. Once rightfully considered a virtual lottery ticket, here are 5 reasons you may want to seriously consider investing in Bitcoin today. Reason number 1. More and more people are using Bitcoin every day. In its early days, Bitcoin was little more than a speculative bet for day traders hoping to turn a quick profit. That's because, as a currency, Bitcoin still had very little utility aside from on the black market. Like trying to pay for your rent in yen, buying goods with Bitcoin was just something you didn't do when the currency was still young. But after years of gradual adoption, more and more people are using Bitcoin for real-world transactions every day. In January 2010, Bitcoin was averaging less than 200 transactions a day. Today, the digital currency is used in as many as 300,000 transactions per day. In other words, Bitcoin is no longer just a form of money in theory, but has become a form of money in practice. People are buying goods with it, just as they do with any other form of currency. For long-term investors, this is great news, because after all, that's where Bitcoin's value exists. So long as adoption of Bitcoin as a currency continues to increase, its value should move in tandem. Reason number 2. More vendors are accepting Bitcoin. There are 2 main reasons why Bitcoin transactions have and will likely continue to increase. The first is a growing acceptance from legitimate vendors. Since 2013, there have already been a number of major retailers that have taken the initiative to treat Bitcoin as a legitimate method of payment. Notable companies now include Expedia, which accepts Bitcoin for all hotel bookings, Overstock.com, which began accepting Bitcoin for its products in January of 2014, and Microsoft, which recently added Bitcoin as a payment option for its digital content. Other major vendors include Dell, Subway, Newegg, Tiger Direct, Tesla, PayPal, and Reed's Jewelers, to name just a few. Even the Sacramento Kings NBA franchise now accepts Bitcoin either online or at the Golden Wand Center Arena. That means that NBA fans can get tickets, jerseys, hot dogs, and yes, even beer with their Bitcoins. Reason number 3. Volatility is trending down. On top of an increasing number of vendors accepting Bitcoin, price volatility is trending downward. And for long-term investors, that's certainly a good thing. In 2011, the 30-day volatility of Bitcoin was nearly 16%, but today it's closer to just 2% on a dollar basis. This means that day-to-day fluctuations in the price of Bitcoin are decreasing, and that the value of Bitcoin is becoming more stable. And for a form of currency, this is incredibly important, because it means consumers' money is becoming more reliable. If a loaf of bread cost $4 yesterday, $2 today, and $7 tomorrow, chances are you wouldn't have much faith in the dollar. The same rule applies to Bitcoin. The less volatile it is, the better it will fare in the fair market. Of course, Bitcoin will continue to have bouts of volatility, and is still years away from being completely stable. But at the time of this video's production, it's already on par with the Mexican pesos and South African rand. For a 10-year-old currency, that's not too bad. Reason number 4. Bitcoin is a hedge against economic uncertainty. For decades, if not centuries, gold has been the go-to safe haven in times of economic uncertainty. When stocks go up, people buy gold. When stocks go down, people buy gold. When economies collapse, people buy gold. but investors have increasingly turned elsewhere in recent years in the face of economic turmoil. When Cyprus's economy tanked in 2013, Bitcoin soared. When China's yuan collapsed in 2015, it happened again. And when Brexit sent tremors through the market in 2016, Bitcoin investors had a field day, as the currency's value exploded more than $100 in a day. Bitcoin works as a hedge this way because it's disconnected from the traditional financial system. It offers an easy way for people to exit economies that revolve around government money and bad monetary policy. If you're one of the many people worried that the US dollar is on its last legs as a global reserve currency, Bitcoin isn't a bad bet. You can get started right away. The best investors are well diversified, and Bitcoin is just one place to potentially grow your wealth.
Are just seeing the charts and thinking how high it'll go. What I'm doing is counting backwards. I mean, this is a transactional currency, and it is a store of value. As such, it is a product and a service competing on a very tangible market for stores of value and for transactional currencies. So what is the size of that market?
Right. And this is important.
And how big a market share can Bitcoin realistically take within a foreseeable time frame? Right. When you ask that question, then you come up with a market cap of Bitcoin total, and then you divide that by the number of Bitcoin in circulation by your estimated time, and seeing how Chinese are buying Bitcoin like crazy, I actually had to adjust this number upwards, but then you come up with a number of about $2 to $5 million per Bitcoin.
I suggest that everyone go back to buy one Bitcoin. Not too much, only one is enough. If everyone in this world, people, just to go back buy one Bitcoin, you know, the Bitcoin value go to the $1 million. And when the Bitcoin have $1 million, you know, all around the world will be crazy, and everyone will be the follow, and the other digital currency just to be, you know, be grandson of the Bitcoin. So for me, I think for a lot of people, they don't exactly understand why it's Bitcoin.
Is Bitcoin the currency of the future, or is it the payment system they're developing?
Bingo! It's the payment system. It's the blockchain encryption, and they're interesting things. I think Bitcoin, or the really blockchain encryption that's behind it, has a greater ability to bring more of the world's population out of poverty than anything we've seen.
Time is running out, so I won't keep you much longer. So let me explain very carefully what you need to do next. All you need to do to get started right now is to fill out the information on this page. Our team will take care of things from there. We work for you. You're just moments away from being able to get any luxury you've ever wanted. You can go on endless exotic vacations, get tech gadgets, get designer clothes, fly your friends around on jets. Heck, you can even buy your best friend a house. Whatever it is your heart desires, it will soon be yours. All you have to do is fill out your information on this page.
So thinking that it's too late to get involved in Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with the internet, or too late to get involved with using a cell phone. Like, it's not too late to get involved in Bitcoin. Bitcoins are going to have to be worth at least tens of thousands of dollars a Bitcoin, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per Bitcoin. So thinking it's too late to get involved with Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with using the internet. Of course not. Like, it's ubiquitous in our lives, and Bitcoin's going to become ubiquitous in our lives as well.
We will walk you through step by step exactly which buttons you need to click to kickstart your profits. Fill out the information on this page. Don't delay. Or worse, don't think it over. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Watch the profits start flooding into your account and enter your information on this page. I'll see you inside.
And I simply remove the telephone jack and plug it into this box here, the modem. I then take another wire from the modem and plug it in where the telephone was. I can then switch on the modem. It's now telling me to phone up the main Pressel computer.
So it's a very simple connection to make.
Extremely simple. I'm now waiting for the computer to answer me. And
things are starting to happen.
Things are starting to happen.
Why did you buy a computer?
Well, I was very interested in the new technology and didn't want to be left behind. I don't think it's only for the youngsters at school now. I think us older ones will have to learn a lot about it.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's how does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
The world is in financial disarray. Currencies failing, economies in wild flux, jobs being lost. But what if you could build an entirely new economy, one specifically designed for the digital realm? Well, that is the dream behind Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, for those of you who don't know, is an electronic online currency that was created in 2009. It was made by someone who did it under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto.
Like any economy, you don't want too much too fast, because then the value of your currency drops, or so slow that your economy grounds to a halt. It's designed to be a self-stabilising economy. Whether it actually is that way though, well, that is a little bit more complicated.
Because some people have said, hey, Bitcoin is the answer to those problems. Are you a believer?
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place, and of course for large transactions currency can get pretty inconvenient.
And what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a currency on the internet.
I sent 100 euros worth of Bitcoin from here in Tokyo directly to you guys through this camera, through the network, through the TV, right into your home. If I had tried to do that, send you the money with a traditional bank, it would have taken several days and probably cost 30 euros. I just did it right now with Bitcoin instantly, basically for free, and didn't have to ask anybody for permission. I didn't need a bank, I didn't need a government, I didn't need anybody. I just needed myself and you and our smartphones to do it. That's the power of Bitcoin.
Wall Street is fraud, America is fraud, the world is fraud, banks are fraud, central banks are fraud. We live in an era of fraud. It's all based on fraud, and they get a percentage of the fraud. That's the business model. To suggest that there is any moral or ethical aspect to anything that's going on now is to be completely naive about the fact that we live in an era dominated by financial terrorists, jihadis of banking. They're here to kill you and themselves. They believe in an ideology, not the Quran, but Adam Smith, that they completely misread and interpret as something to justify their blowing themselves up. Janet Yellen's a terrorist! Mario Draghi's a terrorist! The Central Bank of Japan is a terrorist! These are the real terrorists!
Funds received.
This community is switching to what they think is a better monetary system. A system in which banks are no longer needed because payments could be made directly from one person to another.
Bitcoin is fundamentally different because in Bitcoin, you don't owe anyone anything and no one owes you anything. It is not a system based on debt. It is a system based on ownership. And no one can censor it, no one can seize it, no one can freeze it.
It's November the 2nd, 2008, just 6 weeks after the Lehman Brothers collapse. And all over the world, there are panicked debates about how to save the banks. Then, on a little visited web forum for cryptographers, a document appears in which a completely new monetary system is proposed. The visionary author calls himself Satoshi Nakamoto.
These were the darkest days of the financial crisis, so that to me suggests a very clever mind that saw an opportunity, the perfect opportunity to introduce a new radical technology and a new radical approach to money and finance at just the right moment when people would be very open to making this big shift that's required to adopt a new currency.
What's exciting for me is like a global economy. Right now we say we have a global economy, but I can't take $1 and give it to you in the Netherlands and then you know what to do with it, right? You would have to go and change it to your native currency. And when you kind of eliminate that step and I can just send you one form of payment and you can send me a product in a matter of seconds, that starts to change things from a global perspective.
How could this digital coin invented by this Satoshi Nakamoto become hundreds of times more valuable than the dollar? And why do enthusiasts like Roger Fear want the world to switch to bitcoins?
I'm giving every single person here 1,000 yen worth of bitcoins, which is like $8 and something cents.
Back in the early days, you know, I'd get phone calls from my buddies. Oh, hey man, I lost 10,000 bitcoins because my computer blew up, right? Back then, one bitcoin was less than a penny, right? So nobody cared. They lost $10. I don't care. right? And now 10,000 Bitcoins, that's $5 million. That's a big deal, right?
I think a lot of people are underestimating the way in which Bitcoin and the blockchain are going to change the power structures in society in general. I mean, I grew up in the US and I see all these people like, yeah, nuke everybody in the Middle East and kill them all. And then they have the former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright on 60 Minutes, one of the most popular news shows in the US, and they asked her, they said, like, there's reports that more than 500,000 Iraqi children have died as a direct result of US sanctions. And she looks back at her with a straight face and she goes, it was a really tough decision, but I think that it was worth it. Worth murdering 500,000 kids because of what the government did? And I apologize for crying, but it just disgusts me from my core when I see government people murdering people around the world. It's not just theoretical. These are real people with real lives. And it's real people, and Bitcoin has the power to undermine everything they're doing to people around the world. And I'm sorry for shouting, but it just disgusts me what these people in government do. And they do it through central banking and through the control of the money supply, and Bitcoin takes that away from them.
You can buy Bitcoin at the Shell station. Check it out. Good. Got $2. Hit finish. Oh. $2 Bitcoin, just like that, from this machine. I just turned cash into digital currency.
So thinking that it's too late to get involved in Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with the internet or too late to get involved with using a cell phone. Like, it's not too late to get involved in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin becomes really popular all over the world, Bitcoins are going to have to be worth at least tens of thousands of dollars a Bitcoin, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per Bitcoin. So thinking it's too late to get involved with Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with using the internet. Of course not. Like, it's ubiquitous in our lives, and Bitcoin's going to become ubiquitous in our lives as well.